Let's do approval of the minutes of the October 11th, 2021 board meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the October 11th, 2021 board meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Huddle. Second, Mr. Hogan. Any questions? Seeing none, all those approve the agenda. And that is 6, well 7. I was just thinking she wasn't here. That's okay. And that would be 1 abstain. Thank you. Public participation, and we welcome and encourage public participation. However, the privilege of addressing the board does not include the ability to make personal attacks on any board member, district employee, or other member of the public. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and the decorum provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Questions asked during the public participation will be handled in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. And I would say that, just add to that, we have Dr. Harris with the timer. If for some reason you don't have the timer and I do hit the gavel for you 3 minutes, I think the mic will be cut. So that way it helps us not feel like we're telling you several times that the 3 minutes are up. But we welcome parents' input, or it doesn't have to be a parent, community members. So with that, we'll have our first speaker.
Kim Murphy of Chapin is here to speak of District 5 concerns.
Good evening. I just wanted to offer my thoughts on the potential sale of property in Chapin on Columbia Avenue, which is steeped with history, District 5 history. First, District 5's memo says the property is 7.74 acres. However, Lexington County's notes on their GIS map states that it's 9.68 acres, almost 2 acres more. So you may be doing a survey, you may have already had one done, I don't know. But secondly, because of its prime location, it will obviously bring in a pretty penny. However, it is property we own free and clear, and it is still a prime location for a District 5 educational facility. Its central location could be used for an early childhood development center, tutoring center, career and tech program, training center, and because of the small size needed, it still could work for an alternative academy. It's also possible that it could be used for an overflow facility if additional classrooms were needed for intermediate, middle, or high school. We just kind of maybe need to think out of the box to see what we could possibly do with that. There's also been concern mentioned about the railroad tracks as a reason to sell. To me, that's a non-issue. The tracks have always been there, and they are crossed daily by parents. If a potential District 5 facility were to generate moderate traffic, an appropriate traffic plan would be developed through a traffic study. A business or the town, if they were to purchase it, would also generate traffic, and they'd have to contend with the same issue. Another concern raised was related to the road frontage. That does not seem to be an issue either. Look at the road frontage for Chapin Intermediate. There's virtually none. In addition, the property has significant sentimental value for many residents from many years ago as an educational facility to the recent present, ball fields, auditorium, alternative academy, etc. It's part of Chapin's history. For many years, the taxpayers in the Chapin communities, taxpayer dollars, have been invested in the property and facilities. It's a prominent location that could be used for pride and joy of District 5 in Chapin. My strong preference is that you hold on to the property and utilize it in some manner. Yes, its financial value, with if sold, could be used for another educational facility or reducing debt, but I would suggest that you would be cognizant of the value that it has to the longtime residents and for educational purposes in District 5, and that any discussion of selling the property be as transparent as possible and involve the community. Thank you so much.
Alan Wright of Chapin is here to speak.
I wanted to touch a little bit on primary stakeholders. Parents are the only primary stakeholders in their children's lives and futures. We are solely responsible for our children's medical care, providing a safe environment, their morals and values, education, mutual respect, physical protection, psychological protection, spiritual growth, discipline, and the list goes on and on. We do not partner or co-parent with the state, city, educators, local business leaders, elected officials, federal government, organizations, superintendents, principals, associations, or school boards. No one on this planet is more invested than we are in God. God blessed us and honored us, their parents, to raise these beautiful gifts to continue to carry His word and grow in His kingdom. I, Alan Wright, wholeheartedly agree with the resolution presented to this board that states parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and future. The resolution recognizing parents' rights, stakeholder authority, and political participation. Whereas on September 29th, 2021, the National School Board Association asked President Joe Biden to label parents as domestic terrorists for questioning local school board policies. Thank you for supporting this resolution and adopting policy that confirms parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and future.
Thank you.
Todd Grosh.
Good evening. I, Todd Grosh, wholeheartedly agree with the resolution presented to this board that states parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and future. Whereas on September 30th, 2021, Joe Biden Education Secretary Miguel Cardona said parents shouldn't be the primary stakeholder in their children's education during his testimony before the Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. Thank you for supporting this resolution and adopting policy that confirms parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and futures.
Thank you.
Natalie Brown of Chapin is here to speak about parents as primary stakeholders.
Good evening. I, Natalie Brown, wholeheartedly agree with the resolution presented to this board that states parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and future. Whereas parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives to include education. Whereas, as stakeholders, parents are responsible for what their children are taught. Thank you for supporting this resolution and adopting policy that confirms parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and futures.
Thank you.
Renee Kelly of Chapin is here to speak about CRT and parent involvement.
Good evening. I, Renee Kelly, wholeheartedly agree with the resolution presented to this board that states parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and future. Whereas being responsible, parents have the unalienable right to be a part of the political process with input regarding adopting policy in district school boards. Now therefore it be resolved that boards of trustees of Lexington Richland School District 5 affirms that parents are the primary stakeholders and primary political participants in their children's lives. Thank you for supporting this resolution and adopting policy that confirms parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and futures.
Thank you.
Krista Sorrenti is here to speak about parents as primary stakeholders.
I, Krista Sorrenti, wholeheartedly agree with the resolution presented to this board that states parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and futures. Urges the National School Board Association rescind their September 29, 2021 letter to Joe Biden asking to label parents as domestic terrorists and, by extension, limiting parental participation in the democratic and political process. Urges the South Carolina School Board Association call for the rescinding of the National School Board Association's September 29th letter and publicly declare their affirmation for parents as the primary stakeholders and political participants in defense of their children's education, well-being, and future. Thank you for supporting this resolution and adopting policy that confirms that parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and futures.
Thank you.
Ernest Floyd is here to speak about parents as primary stakeholders.
Good day, everyone. I, Ernest Floyd, wholeheartedly agree with this resolution presented to this board that states parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's futures and lives. Urges South Carolina State Superintendent Molly Spearman and South Carolina State Board of Education to recognize parents as the primary stakeholders in their children's lives, and urges South Carolina state legislators pass permanent legislation to ensure that parents are protected from the political weaponization of parental rights in their First Amendment participation. Signed, parents of Lexington and Richland School District 5. Thank you for your support in this resolution and adopting policy that confirms parents are the primary stakeholders in their children's lives and futures. You have a nice night.
Thank you. That concludes it. Let's see. I wanted to say, this isn't answering anything, but I did get a message today from the State School Boards Association saying that the National School Boards Association has apologized for their statement. I won't read all of that, but that they've apologized and they're sorry for the confusions it's caused, because I think they realize that parents are in control. But we did get this apology. They're apologizing for that letter, and this came out on October 22nd. They released a statement apologizing for the September 29th letter and outlining their plans to ensure that this does not ever happen again. Okay, with that, I just thought it was good to tell you that since so many speakers were speaking to that.